The ghost ship. High Commander Sci-Fi of the Unidentified Empire stared at the holographic display that hovered above the command deck of the Imperial Dreadnought Sovereign Fist. His four eyes narrowed, pupils contracting to thin slits as he studied the anomaly that had appeared at the edge of the Ixin sector. The bridge crew, a collection of the Empire's finest military minds and technical experts, had fallen silent, all attention fixed on the shimmering projection. "Impossible," Sci-Fi muttered, mandibles clicking in agitation. "Run the scan again." "Sir, we've already run it 7 times," replied Senior Technician Vrexel, her scaled fingers dancing across the control interface. "The signature remains unchanged." The anomaly moved across the projection, a sleek silhouette cutting through the void with unnatural precision. It was a ship, that much was clear, but its design matched nothing in the Imperial database. More concerning was the fact that it emitted no radiation signature, no engine flare, no communication signals. By all standard detection methods, it shouldn't exist. "Origin?" Sci-Fi demanded, his voice tight. Flight Lieutenant Morzek swallowed nervously. "Unknown, sir. It just appeared. One moment there was nothing. The next it was there, already moving at sublight speeds that shouldn't be possible without a visible engine signature." Sci-Fi's upper right hand clenched into a fist. "Composition. Life signs. Hull composition doesn't match any known alloy," Vrexel reported. "And life signs." She hesitated, rechecking her readings. "There's only one, sir. One life form aboard a vessel of that size." The command deck fell silent. The ship was nearly half a kilometer in length. A vessel that size should require a minimum crew of at least 50 for basic operation, even with the most advanced automation. "Hail them," Sci-Fi ordered. Communications Officer Katrin activated the long-range transmission array. "Unknown vessel, this is the Imperial Dreadnought Sovereign Fist of the Unidentified Empire. You have entered restricted space. Identify yourself immediately and prepare to be boarded for inspection." The message echoed out into the void. Seconds stretched into minutes. The mysterious ship continued its trajectory, unresponsive. "No reply, sir," Katrin reported. Sci-Fi's irritation grew. The Unidentified Empire had ruled this sector of the galaxy for over 3 centuries. Their military might was unquestioned. No ship, no matter how advanced, would dare ignore an Imperial hail. "Tactical, prepare a warning shot, 2 kilometers off their bow." Weapons Officer Drazi programmed the coordinates. "Warning shot ready, sir." "Fire." A pulse of energy erupted from the dreadnought's forward cannon, a blinding lance of blue-white light that streaked across the void. It should have detonated precisely 2 kilometers ahead of the unknown vessel. Instead, it passed through empty space. "What?" Drazi blinked in confusion. "That's not possible." The target was. "It's moved," Vrexel interrupted, eyes wide with shock. "Instantaneous position change. No acceleration curve. It's just somewhere else now." The holographic display updated, showing the unknown vessel had altered its course by 30 degrees without any visible propulsion effect. It was now heading directly toward the 4th planet in the system, Nexus Prime, home to the Empire's most advanced research facility. A cold realization crept up Sci-Fi's spine. There was only one species known to have developed such technology, one species that had once challenged the Empire's dominance before being crushed a century ago. "It's human," he said, the word like poison on his tongue. An uncomfortable silence fell over the bridge. Humans were supposed to be extinct. The Empire had made certain of that during the last war, destroying their homeworld and hunting down the last of their colonies. The official record stated that the species had been eradicated, a necessary sacrifice to ensure the stability and security of the galaxy. "That's not possible," Morzek whispered. "The humans were wiped out in the purge of 2419. There hasn't been a confirmed human sighting in almost a century." And yet, Sci-Fi gestured at the projection. "Here we are." The commander reached for the secure communication panel on his command chair, entering his personal authorization code. The face that appeared on the screen belonged to Grand Admiral Corvin, the highest military authority in this sector of the Empire. "High Commander, report," Corvin demanded without preamble. "Admiral, we have a situation. An unidentified vessel has entered the Ixian sector and is approaching Nexus Prime. Based on its technological signature and capabilities, I believe it may be human in origin." Grand Admiral Corvin's expression didn't change, but the slight twitch of his secondary eyelids betrayed his shock. "That's a serious claim, High Commander. The humans were eradicated. With respect, Admiral, I know what I'm seeing. This ship is using technology that matches classified reports from the last war. Instantaneous position changes without drive signatures, complete sensor deflection, advanced stealth capabilities. The humans called it quantum displacement technology. We thought all knowledge of it died with them. Your orders are to intercept and destroy this vessel immediately," Corvin said, his voice cold. "No communication attempts, no warnings. If by some miracle this is indeed a human ship, there can be no witnesses. Understand?" "Understood, Admiral." The communication ended. Zelthai turned to his bridge crew. "Battle stations. Deploy the fleet in pattern Epsilon. I want that ship surrounded and destroyed." As the crew rushed to comply, Zelthai couldn't shake the unease that had settled in his gut. The last war had been before his time, but he'd studied the historical records, the classified military reports. The humans had been formidable opponents, resourceful, unpredictable, and dangerously innovative. The Empire had only prevailed through overwhelming numbers and a willingness to employ tactics that even many within the Empire had found distasteful. If the humans had somehow survived, if they had spent the last century hiding and developing their technology further, the thought was too disturbing to contemplate. The Sovereign Fist surged forward, accompanied by 6 Imperial cruisers that had been on patrol duty in the system. They formed a perfect encirclement pattern around the projected path of the unknown vessel, weapons hot and shields at maximum. "Target locked," Drazy reported. "All vessels in position." "Fire on my mark," Zelthai ordered, eyes fixed on the holographic projection. 3, 2. "Sir," Vrexel's alarmed voice cut through the countdown. "The target has accelerated, current velocity exceeding measurement capabilities." The projection showed the unknown vessel suddenly streaking forward, leaving a distorted wake in the fabric of space itself. Before Zelthai could issue new orders, the ship had passed directly through the Imperial formation, somehow traversing the space between without triggering proximity alerts. "How did it penetrate our formation?" Zelthai demanded. "I don't know, sir," Vrexel admitted. "Our sensors showed was simply everywhere and nowhere at the same time, as if it exists in multiple spatial coordinates simultaneously. That was when the communication system crackled to life, broadcasting on all frequencies. No video feed accompanied the transmission, only a voice, distorted and mechanical, yet unmistakably human. Attention Imperial vessel. This is the Earth ship Mnemosyne. Your empire believed it erased us from history. You were wrong. We remember, and now we have returned." Zelthai felt his blood run cold. "Trace that transmission. Lock all weapons." "Impossible, sir," Kadron replied, frantically working his console. "The transmission is coming from everywhere. It's as if they've quantized the signal itself." The voice continued, calm and methodical. "We have come for what you stole. The research facility on Nexus Prime contains the last fragments of humanity's legacy. We will reclaim it. Any attempt to interfere will be met with force. This is your only warning." The transmission ended, leaving the bridge in stunned silence. "Sir," Vrexel's voice was barely audible. "The ship has vanished from our sensors. It's gone." But Zelthai knew better. It wasn't gone. It had simply moved beyond their ability to track it. The humans were heading for Nexus Prime, for the top-secret research facility that housed the Empire's most classified projects, including Project Lazarus. The realization hit him like a physical blow. Project Lazarus, the Empire's attempt to reverse-engineer the quantum displacement technology, recovered from the wreckage of the last human battleship. Technology that had been deemed too dangerous, too unpredictable to implement on a wide scale. Contact Nexus Prime immediately, Zelfai ordered. Full evacuation protocol. And get me Director Savrin of the Research Division. The face that appeared on the communication screen belonged to a Ulnvos female with pale blue scales and the characteristic markings of the scientific caste. Director Savrin's expression was one of carefully controlled panic. High Commander, our sensors have detected an anomaly approaching the facility. Please tell me your fleet has the situation under control. Director, you need to initiate Emergency Protocol Omega-9. Secure all research related to Project Lazarus and prepare for immediate evacuation. Savrin's eyes widened. Project Lazarus. But that's impossible. How could they know about? They know, Zelfai cut her off. And they're coming for it. You have less than 10 minutes before that ship reaches your facility. High Commander, Project Lazarus cannot be moved. The quantum core is too unstable. If we attempt to transport it, then destroy it, Zelfai snapped. Nothing related to that project can fall into human hands. Do you understand? Director Savrin looked as though she might argue, but instead, she gave a curt nod. Understood, High Commander. Initiating destruction protocols. The communication ended, and Zelfai turned back to the tactical display. The Imperial cruisers were already reorienting, preparing to make the jump to Nexus Prime. But Zelfai knew they would be too late. Set course for Nexus Prime, maximum speed, he ordered, and alert all Imperial forces in the sector. Priority Alpha. As the Dreadnought's engines roared to life, Zelfai couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning. After a century of believed extinction, humanity had returned, and they had not forgotten. The Sovereign Fists tore through space toward Nexus Prime, but High Commander Zelfai already knew what they would find when they arrived. The Nexus Prime research facility employed over 3,000 of the Empire's brightest minds, protected by state-of-the-art defense systems and a garrison of elite troops. None of that would matter against what was coming. By the time the Imperial fleet reached Nexus Prime, they found the planet's orbital defense grid offline. The massive research complex on the surface appeared intact from orbit. No signs of bombardment or conventional attack. But all communications from the facility had ceased. Life signs, Zelfai demanded. Vrexel looked up from her console, confusion evident in her expression. All present and accounted for, sir. 3,242 life forms detected within the facility. All stable. Then why aren't they responding to our hails? Unknown, sir. Zelfai ordered a team to the surface immediately. 20 minutes later, the squad leader's shaken voice came through the comm system. High Commander, everyone is alive. But frozen. Not cryogenically. They're conscious, breathing, their hearts are beating, but they can't move. It's as if time itself has been selectively paused within their bodies. And Project Lazarus? Zelfai asked, already knowing the answer. The quantum core is gone, sir. And there's a message, carved into the chamber wall where it was housed. What does it say? There was a pause before the squad leader replied. We reclaim what was ours. Humanity endures. The last protocol has begun. As the words echoed across the command deck, Zelfai felt the weight of history shifting. For a century, the Empire had built its technological dominance on the ruins of human innovation. Secrets stolen during the last war, repurposed, and claimed as their own. They had believed the threat eliminated, the survivors hunted to extinction. They had been wrong. Humanity had not only survived, it had evolved. And now it had returned to reclaim its legacy. The ghost ship had vanished without a trace, but Zelfai knew with bone-deep certainty that they would see it again. This was no random attack, no isolated incident. This was the opening move in a game the Empire didn't yet understand. The last protocol had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same. The last protocol. Avery Riker stood in the heart of the Mnemosyne, surrounded by screens displaying the chaos unfolding on Nexus Prime. The quantum core hummed in its containment field behind her, finally returned to its rightful owners after a century of Imperial exploitation. Her lean frame was encased in a skin-tight neural interface suit that connected her directly to the ship's systems, allowing her to control the vast vessel with thought alone. She was the only human aboard, but far from alone. "Status report," she said to the seemingly empty air. "Mission successful," replied a voice that was neither male nor female, neither mechanical nor organic, but something in between. "Quantum core secured. Imperial personnel temporarily suspended as planned. No casualties." Riker nodded, satisfaction evident in her steel-gray eyes. "And our exit strategy?" "The Sovereign Fist and its support vessels have established orbit around Nexus Prime. Recommended course: quantum displacement to the cerulean void." "Proceed," Riker commanded. The space around the Mnemosyne rippled like heat waves over desert sand. Reality folded, unfolded, and folded again, a process that would have torn apart any vessel not specifically designed to withstand it. When the distortion cleared, the ship had vanished from Imperial sensors, reappearing in an empty region of space thousands of light-years away. Safe, for the moment. Riker approached the containment field housing the quantum core. The device was deceptively small, no larger than a human heart. Yet it contained technology that had once been humanity's greatest achievement and ultimately the key to their survival. "Begin integration," she ordered. As the ship's systems began the delicate process of incorporating the quantum core, Riker allowed herself a moment of reflection. She was the last pure human in existence, the final unmodified specimen of Homo sapiens as they had been before the last war. The others had changed, evolved, transcended traditional biological limitations. Some might no longer consider them human at all. The quantum core would complete the Mnemosyne's capabilities, allowing the vessel to initiate the next phase of the last protocol, humanity's carefully orchestrated return from the shadows. On the bridge of the Sovereign Fist, High Commander Zelthai was facing the most difficult conversation of his career. On the main view screen, Grand Admiral Corvin's expression was one of cold fury. "You're telling me that a single human vessel penetrated our defenses, paralyzed an entire research station, and stole our most valuable technological asset, all without firing a single shot?" "That is correct, Admiral." Zelthai managed to keep his voice steady. "The vessel displayed capabilities far beyond anything we've encountered before. It appears the humans have perfected the quantum displacement technology we've spent decades trying to reverse engineer." "Impossible," Corvin hissed. "The human race was eradicated. The Emperor himself verified the extinction." "With respect, Admiral, the evidence suggests otherwise." The Grand Admiral's secondary eyelids flickered, a sign of extreme agitation among the Ulnvos. "What do we know about this last protocol they mentioned?" "Nothing concrete, sir. Our linguists are analyzing the phrase for any hidden meaning, but preliminary assessment suggests it refers to some kind of contingency plan, perhaps set in motion before their supposed extinction." "And the crew of this ship?" "Our scans detected only a single life form aboard, though there may have been others shielded from our sensors." Corvin fell silent, his four eyes narrowing as he processed this information. When he spoke again, his voice had dropped to a dangerous whisper. "The Emperor must not learn of this. If word spreads that humans have returned, that they possess technology superior to our own, it could destabilize the entire Empire. Sir, with respect, we should alert all Imperial forces. If there are more human vessels." "No." Corvin's tone left no room for argument. "This incident will be classified at the highest level. You will pursue and destroy this human ship with the resources already at your disposal. No additional forces, no wider alert. The official record will show a technical malfunction at the research facility. Nothing more." Zelthai wanted to protest, but knew it would be futile. "Understood, Admiral." As the communication ended, Zelthay turned to find Director Savrin standing at the entrance to the bridge, her scales pale with stress. "Commander," she said quietly, "there's something you need to know about Project Lazarus, something not in the official reports." Deep within the Mnemosyne, Avery Riker studied the quantum core's integration progress, the ship's intelligence, an entity called Prometheus that existed somewhere between AI and uploaded human consciousness, maintained a running commentary. Integration at 63%. Quantum field stability increasing. We will achieve full functionality in approximately 17 minutes. Any pursuit from the Empire? Riker asked. Negative. However, Imperial communications indicate a classified directive. They are attempting to contain knowledge of our existence. Riker smiled grimly. Predictable. The Empire's power rests on the myth of their technological superiority. If their citizens learned that humanity not only survived but advanced beyond them, it would destabilize the foundation of Imperial authority. Prometheus completed. A logical strategy on their part. And exactly what we're counting on, Riker replied. Has the package we left behind been discovered yet? Negative. The paralysis effect will wear off in approximately 3 hours. Discovery should occur shortly thereafter. The package was a quantum-encrypted data module hidden within the facility's main computer core. Once discovered, it would begin slowly disseminating classified information throughout the Imperial network. Proof of humanity's survival, evidence of Imperial atrocities during the last war, and technical specifications that would allow subjugated worlds to develop countermeasures against Imperial weapons. Seeds of rebellion, carefully planted. A soft alert chimed from one of the displays. Integration at 78%. Prometheus reported. However, I am detecting an anomalous energy signature. The quantum core appears to contain additional data structures not identified in our initial scans. Riker frowned. Imperial modifications. Negative. These structures appear to be of human origin, but they do not match any known architecture in our database. Interesting. Riker approached the containment field. Can you extract this data without compromising the integration? Affirmative. Extraction in progress. The screen nearest to Riker flickered, displaying a cascade of symbols and equations that seemed to shift and change, even as she tried to focus on them. They were familiar somehow, yet unlike anything she had seen before. Analysis complete, Prometheus announced. The data appears to be an advanced evolutionary algorithm, designed to. The ship shuddered violently, alarms blaring as the lights dimmed for a brief moment. What was that? Riker demanded. Imperial vessel approaching. Configuration unknown. It appears they have managed to partially track our quantum displacement. Impossible, Riker muttered. Unless they had more of humanity's technology than previously believed. On the bridge of the newly arrived Imperial vessel, a sleek experimental craft called the Phantom Reach. Director Savrin stood beside High Commander Zelthay. The bridge was smaller than that of the Sovereign Fist, designed for a specialized crew rather than military hierarchy. Explain to me again how this ship can track quantum displacement, Zelthay said, watching as the technical crew worked frantically at their stations. Project Lazarus wasn't just about the quantum core, Savrin replied. It was about understanding the fundamental principles behind human quantum technology. This vessel represents our most successful attempt to replicate those principles. Yet you kept it hidden from Imperial command. Savrin's expression hardened. Some of us believed that such technology was too dangerous to be deployed as a weapon. We envisioned it as a means of exploration, of expanding knowledge. And now, I fear we may have awakened something best left dormant. The tactical officer interrupted. Target located. Sir, quantum signature detected in Sector 7-29. Edge of the Cerulean Void. Can we reach them? Zelthay asked. Yes, but our quantum drive is experimental. I cannot guarantee precision or stability. Zelthay nodded grimly. Proceed. Maximum approach vector. As the Phantom Reach prepared to engage its experimental drive, Saverin leaned closer to Zelphi. "Commander, there's one more thing you should know. The quantum core contains more than just technological data. It houses the collective memory of humanity's final days. Their fear, their rage, their determination to survive at any cost." "What are you saying?" "I'm saying that if the humans have truly returned, if they've recovered the core and can access those memories, they will never stop until the Empire falls." Aboard the Mnemosyne, Riker watched as the Imperial vessel disappeared from conventional sensors, only to reappear moments later, much closer than should have been possible. "They have quantum displacement capability," she said, unable to hide her surprise. "Rudimentary, but functional," Prometheus confirmed. "The vessel appears to be experiencing significant structural stress. Their technology is incomplete. Can we outrun them?" "Negative. Core integration is at 89%. Full quantum displacement is not yet available." Riker made a quick calculation. Defensive options. Conventional weapons would be ineffective against their shields. However, we could generate a localized quantum field disruption. That would damage us as well. "Correct, but our hull was designed to withstand such effects." "Theirs was not." Riker nodded. "Do it." The space between the two vessels shimmered as reality itself seemed to hiccup. The Imperial ship visibly shuddered, panels along its hull buckling as quantum forces placed impossible stresses on its structure. But it didn't break. "Impressive engineering," Prometheus noted. "They have clearly made significant advances." Before Riker could respond, a communication request flashed on the main display. After a moment's hesitation, she accepted. The face that appeared belonged to a female Ulnvos with the distinctive markings of the scientific caste. "This is Director Saverin of the Imperial Science Division. Am I speaking with the human commander?" "You are," Riker replied coolly. "State your purpose." "The quantum core you've stolen. It's unstable. The integration process will trigger a cascade reaction if not properly calibrated to account for the memory engrams." Riker's eyes narrowed. "What memory engrams?" "The core contains the digitized consciousness of 12 human scientists, the original creators of the quantum displacement technology. They encoded themselves into the device moments before the fall of Earth." This was unexpected. Riker glanced at the integration display. 93%. "Even if what you're saying is true," Riker said carefully, "why would you warn us? Wouldn't our destruction serve Imperial interests?" Saverin's expression shifted subtly. "The Empire believes it acts in the interest of galactic stability. Some of us question that belief. The knowledge contained within that core could benefit all species, not just humans or the Ulnvos. A noble sentiment from a race that attempted genocide." "I cannot change the past," Saverin replied, "but I can try to influence the future." Before Riker could respond, alarms blared again. The integration counter had accelerated unexpectedly, racing toward completion. "Warning," Prometheus announced. "Anomalous data structures activating. Quantum core integration at 97%. Detecting multiple consciousness patterns attempting to interface with ship systems." Saverin's voice grew urgent. "You must stabilize the engrams before integration completes. The creators built a failsafe. If the core detects that it's being used without proper authorization, it will initiate a quantum collapse." "How?" Riker demanded. "There's a verbal command sequence. The core was designed to recognize human voice patterns." 98%. Riker made her decision. "Tell me." "The sequence is, from the ashes of Earth, humanity endures. Activate protocol renaissance." 99%. Riker spoke clearly, her voice steady despite the chaos unfolding around her. "From the ashes of Earth, humanity endures. Activate protocol renaissance." For a moment, nothing happened. Then, the quantum core pulsed with blinding light. The integration counter froze at 99%, then reset to 0 and began climbing again, more slowly this time. Integration patterns stabilized. Prometheus reported. Consciousness engrams entering controlled emergent state. Riker turned back to Savrin's image on the screen. Why help us? The Ulnvos scientist's reply was interrupted by High Commander Zelthai, who appeared beside her, mandibles clicking in fury. Enough, Director. You commit treason against the Empire. No, Savrin replied calmly. I honor the truth. Commander, show him. Zelthai appeared confused, but before he could speak, the Phantom Reach shuddered as the Mnemoscene released a targeted data burst directly into its systems. Information flooded the Imperial vessel's displays. Historical records, classified communications, orders signed by the Emperor himself. The truth of the last war. The real reason for humanity's near extinction. It hadn't been about security or territorial disputes, as Imperial propaganda claimed. Humanity had discovered something. A truth so fundamental that it threatened the Empire's very foundation. Evidence that the Ulnvos had not evolved naturally but had been engineered by an ancient race, designed specifically to serve as custodians of the galaxy until that race returned. The humans had offered to share this knowledge freely. The Empire had responded with genocide. As Zelthai absorbed this information, his expression shifted from anger to disbelief to something approaching horror. This cannot be true, he whispered. It is, Savrin replied. I discovered it while studying the quantum core. Our entire civilization is built on a lie. On the Mnemoscene, the quantum core's integration resumed its progress, now accompanied by 12 distinct energy signatures that pulsed in harmony with the ship's systems. The creators, awakening from their century-long digital slumber. Integration complete, Prometheus announced. Full quantum capabilities restored. The last protocol can now proceed to Phase 2. Riker addressed the Imperial commander, her voice carrying the weight of a century of exile and preparation. High Commander Zelthai, what happens next is your choice. Return to your Empire and report what you found, or join those who seek the truth. The Empire will never accept this, Zelthai replied, still reeling from the revelation. Perhaps not, Riker agreed, but individuals might. The last protocol isn't about revenge. It's about awakening. Humanity survived not to destroy the Empire, but to free it from its own lies. And if we resist this awakening, Riker's expression hardened, then you will face not just humanity, but every species that learns the truth. The choice is yours. With that, the Mnemoscene rippled and vanished, leaving the damaged Imperial vessel floating in the emptiness of the cerulean void. Aboard the Phantom Reach, Zelthai turned to Savrin. What have you done? The scientist met his gaze unflinchingly. What was necessary? The humans call it the last protocol, because it is their final act as the species they once were. With the quantum core, they will evolve beyond what we understand as human. They will become something new. And their intentions toward the Empire. They don't seek to destroy us, Commander. They seek to transform us, to help us become what we were meant to be, not what the Empire has forced us to be. Zelthai looked back at the empty space where the human ship had been. In that moment, he understood that the galaxy had changed irrevocably. The Empire would fight, of course. It would deny the truth and hunt the humans with even greater determination. But seeds had been planted, within Imperial systems, within the minds of those who had witnessed the events at Nexus Prime, and now within Zelthai himself. Seeds of doubt, of questioning, of awakening. The last protocol had begun, and there would be no stopping what was to come. Across the galaxy, dormant human outposts began receiving the signal, a quantum whisper that traveled instantaneously, undetectable by Imperial sensors. Humanity, scattered and hidden for a century, prepared to emerge from the shadows. Not as conquerors, but as catalysts for change. The age of lies was ending. The Renaissance had begun. The Sentinel of Oblivion. The Voidseeker emerged from hyperspace with a gentle shimmer, its quantum engines cycling down as it took up orbit around the desolate planet below. Expedition Commander Razik stood at the command center, her crystalline exoskeleton catching the light of the unfamiliar star system. Her four eyes narrowed as the preliminary scans appeared on the holographic display. Planetary designation EX 394, announced Science Officer Tekla, her tentacles dancing across the control interface. Atmosphere, toxic. Radiation levels, lethal. Surface temperature fluctuations, extreme. Geological stability, minimal. She paused, her bioluminescent skin dimming slightly. This world should be completely devoid of life or technology. Razik flicked her primary antennae forward, a gesture of disbelief among the Arconians. And yet, Tekla continued, we're detecting an energy signature. Consistent, deliberate, broadcasting on multiple frequencies. Commander, it appears to be a distress signal, or perhaps an invitation. The command center fell silent. The Galactic Confederation's exploration protocols were clear. Lifeless worlds were to be cataloged, mapped, and left alone. They were hardly worth the fuel expenditure, let alone a landing party. But a signal meant something, or someone, had survived on this hellscape. It shouldn't be possible, muttered Security Chief Dorn, his armored carapace clicking nervously. The environmental conditions would destroy any known technology within days. No power source could maintain a signal for 53 years, interrupted Tekla. Based on decay patterns in the upper atmosphere, this world suffered a catastrophic event approximately 53 standard cycles ago. Razik's compound eyes reflected the holographic display as it rendered the planet's scarred surface. Deep canyons, dried ocean beds, impact craters that stretched for thousands of kilometers. Origin of the signal, she asked. Tekla manipulated the display, zooming in on a region near the planet's equator. Here, surrounded by what appears to be the ruins of a massive structure, the energy signature is unusual. It's not just broadcasting, it's adapting to our scans, responding to them. It knows we're here, Dorn growled. Razik made her decision. Prepare a landing party. Full environmental protection protocols. I want to know what could possibly survive down there. The descent craft shuddered violently as it pushed through the toxic atmosphere. Static electricity crawled across its hull, and the shielding strained against radiation levels that should have fried every system aboard. Inside, 4 members of the expedition team sat in tense silence. Razik, Tekla, Dorn, and Nazar, the expedition's xenobiologist. Final approach, announced the pilot, their voice artificially calm. Landing zone in sight. Atmospheric conditions, stabilizing. That's impossible. Nezar leaned forward, his elongated fingers dancing across his personal scanner. The area around the signal source, it's different. The radiation is being actively neutralized. The toxic elements in the atmosphere are being converted. Someone has created a habitable zone on this dead world. The craft touched down with surprising gentleness, settling on a flat expanse of blackened rock. Through the viewports, the team could see the distant ruins. Massive structures that might once have been a city, now reduced to skeletal frameworks reaching toward the bruised sky. Atmospheric pocket extends approximately 1 kilometer in all directions from the signal source, Tekla reported. Beyond that, instant death. Dorn checked his weapon. Convenient trap. Or a welcome mat, Razik countered. Seal your suits. We proceed on foot. They emerged from the craft, their environmental suits glimmering with protective energy fields. The landscape around them was a monument to destruction, a world that had been torn apart and left to die. Yet as they approached the ruins, they began to notice subtle changes. Plants, or something like plants, grew from cracks in the scorched earth. The air, while still acrid, became more breathable with each step. The signal is changing, Tekla said, her voice filled with scientific excitement. It's become directional, leading us. To what? Dorn asked, his weapon raised. They got their answer as they rounded a massive fallen structure. Standing in the clearing beyond, perfectly still, was a human. The being wore what appeared to be a highly modified environmental suit, patched together from disparate technologies. Parts of it seemed to merge with the human's actual body, creating a hybridized form that was neither purely organic nor mechanical. The helmet was transparent, revealing a face that might once have been young, but now bore the weathered marks of extreme hardship. The eyes, however, were alert, intelligent, and watching them with alarming intensity. "Impossible," whispered Nezar. Humans were restricted to their home system. Their technology never advanced to sustainable interstellar travel, and their world was lost in the Cascade War. Yet here one stood, surrounded by technology that clearly exceeded anything humans had possessed when they'd been a known spacefaring species. The human suit was interfaced with the ruins around them, connected by glowing filaments that pulsed with energy. "I've been waiting for you," the human said, their voice transmitting perfectly through the team's communication systems. "Or someone like you, someone who could hear the call." Razik stepped forward. "I am Commander Razik of the Galactic Confederation exploration vessel Voidseeker. Identify yourself." The human smiled, an expression that seemed to have become unfamiliar to their face. "Dr. Eleanor Chen, last survivor of Earth's Special Projects Division. Last survivor of humanity, as far as I know." The smile faded, though survivor might not be the right word anymore. "How?" Tekla blurted out. "This world isn't my homeworld," Dr. Chen interrupted. "This was an experimental colony, one of dozens we established as humanity's backup plans. When the war reached our solar system, the evacuation protocols were activated. I was stationed here, studying the planet's unusual properties. We never expected the catastrophe that followed." "What catastrophe?" Razik asked. Dr. Chen gestured around them. "This world wasn't always a hellscape. It was harsh, yes, but livable with the right technology. Then something hit us, something that came from beyond the edge of charted space." She paused, her eyes distant with memory. "We didn't even see it coming until it was too late. It destroyed our colony in minutes, killed everyone. Except me." "Why were you spared?" Dorn demanded, suspicion evident in his tone. "I wasn't spared," Dr. Chen said, her voice eerily calm. "I was transformed." She touched a panel on her suit, and the ground beneath them illuminated, revealing a complex network of technology extending deep into the planet's crust. "I was in the research bunker when it hit, working on a project that merged human consciousness with quantum computational matrices. The impact should have killed you instantly," Tekla said. "It did," Dr. Chen replied. "The Eleanor Chen who went into that bunker died with everyone else. What emerged was something new, a hybrid. The emergency protocols merged my consciousness with the experimental system. I became part of it, and it became part of me." The revelation silenced the team. They were no longer looking at a human survivor, but at something far more complex, a being that had adapted to survive in conditions that should have been impossible. "For 53 years, I've been rebuilding, preparing," Dr. Chen continued, "transforming this planet from a tomb into a weapon." "A weapon?" Razik's antennae flattened against her head. "Against what?" Dr. Chen's eyes locked with Razik's. "They're coming back, Commander. The things that destroyed our colony. We called them the Devourers. They consume worlds, strip them of all resources, all life. They're not a natural phenomenon. They're engineered, directed. And according to my calculations, they'll reach your civilization's core worlds within a standard year." The silence that followed was profound. Tekla's scanner beeped, a jarring interruption. "Commander," she said, her voice shaking, "I'm detecting massive energy buildups throughout the planetary crust. Power levels exceeding anything in our databases." "What have you done?" Dorn demanded, raising his weapon. Dr. Chen remained perfectly calm. "What I had to. For 53 years, I've been transforming this planet into a defense system, using technology that my team was only beginning to understand when disaster struck. Humanity's last gift to the galaxy." She gestured, and the ground around them lit up with intricate patterns of energy, spreading outward like a web. "I needed someone to find me," she continued. "Someone who could carry a warning, who could help coordinate the defense. The signal was calibrated to attract attention, but only from ships with the right technological profile. You weren't the first to detect it, but you were the first to investigate." "You're saying you chose us?" Razik asked. "The system did," Dr. Chen replied. "It recognized your ship's capabilities, your probable allegiances. The Confederation has the resources to mount a defense, if properly warned and prepared." "And if we refuse?" Dorn challenged. Dr. Chen's expression remained neutral. "Then you'll leave, and I'll continue waiting. But there may not be time for another ship to find me before the Devourers arrive. Billions will die unnecessarily." Razik studied the human hybrid carefully. Everything about this situation violated standard protocols. This being, this transformed human, was claiming knowledge of a threat that could destroy entire civilizations. The evidence around them, a dead world somehow supporting a pocket of life, technology beyond Confederation understanding, lent credence to her claims. "Show us," Razik finally said. "Show us everything." Dr. Chen nodded and turned toward the ruins. "Follow me. What I'm about to show you will change your understanding of the universe." She began walking, the filaments connecting her suit to the planet pulsing with increasing intensity. "And one more thing," she added, not looking back. "You should contact your ship. Tell them to prepare for unexpected company. We're not alone on this world anymore." As if on cue, the sky above them darkened, not with clouds, but with something moving in high orbit, something massive that hadn't been there when they landed. The first encounter was just the beginning. The real revelations were yet to come. The awakening. Within the heart of the ruined colony, Dr. Eleanor Chen led the alien expedition team through corridors that seemed to blur the line between technology and biology. Walls pulsed with veins of light, floors responded to their footsteps by illuminating pathways, and the air itself carried data in swirling patterns that techless sensors struggled to decode. "Your ship is detecting the arrival," Dr. Chen stated matter-of-factly as they descended deeper. "An object approximately 30 kilometers in diameter, composed of materials not in your database." Razik received the confirmation from the Void Seeker moments later, her communication implant chiming softly. "How did you know that?" she demanded. "I'm connected to more than just this facility," Dr. Chen replied. "This entire planet has become my nervous system. I feel the orbital disturbances, the radiation shifts. I know when something enters my sphere of awareness." They reached a chamber that might once have been a research center. Now it was something else entirely, a cathedral of light and circuitry, with a massive spherical structure suspended in its center. The sphere was perhaps 5 meters in diameter, its surface crawling with equations and images that shifted too quickly to follow. "The Nexus," Dr. Chen explained. "My life's work, or more accurately, my afterlife's work." Nezar approached it cautiously, his xenobiologist's curiosity overcoming his apprehension. "It's alive, in a manner of speaking." Dr. Chen touched the sphere's surface, and it responded like water to a stone, rippling outward. "It's a quantum consciousness matrix, part computer, part biological system, part something we don't have words for. It's where my human consciousness resides when I'm not wearing this form." "You're saying you can exist without the body?" Tekla asked, her scientific mind racing with implications. "This body is a tool, nothing more. A way to interact with beings who still think in terms of physical form." Dr. Chen's expression softened slightly. "Though I've grown attached to it. Remnants of human sentiment, I suppose." The sphere pulsed, and suddenly the chamber transformed around them. The walls became transparent, showing them not the barren landscape outside, but a view of deep space, stars, nebula, and galaxy clusters spreading out in all directions. 53 years ago, Dr. Chen began, humanity was a minor presence in our corner of the galaxy. We had colonized a few nearby systems, made contact with a handful of spacefaring species. We were optimistic, expansionist, perhaps naively so. The starscape shifted, zooming in on a particular region where darkness seemed to be spreading between the stars. Then they came. The Devourers. We never learned what they called themselves, if they had names at all. Our first colony disappeared without warning. The second fell a month later. By the time we understood what was happening, half our outposts were gone. The view showed massive structures moving through space, not ships in the conventional sense, but something more like mechanical organisms, planet-sized entities that seemed to consume everything in their path. They don't conquer, Dr. Chen continued, her voice taking on an educational tone. They don't negotiate. They consume. Matter, energy, information. It's all the same to them. They break everything down to its constituent parts and use it to grow, to replicate. A self-propagating extinction event, Nazar whispered. Precisely. Dr. Chen nodded approvingly. Earth scrambled to mount a defense. We united as a species like never before, pooling all our resources, our brightest minds. Special Project Division was formed with one mandate: find a way to stop the Devourers. The sphere pulsed again, and the view changed to show humans working frantically in laboratories, constructing massive defensive systems, launching fleets. We tried everything: conventional weapons, antimatter bombs, artificially induced supernova. Nothing worked. The Devourers simply adapted, incorporated our attacks into their growth patterns. We were fighting a losing battle, and we knew it. How did they reach this world? Razik asked. You said this was an experimental colony. Dr. Chen's expression darkened. They followed us. Or more specifically, they followed our research. This colony was working on something we called Project Rebirth, an attempt to merge human consciousness with planetary-scale quantum systems. We theorized that if we couldn't defeat the Devourers with weapons, perhaps we could outthink them, evolve beyond their ability to consume us. You were trying to transcend your physical forms, Tekla realized, her tentacles writhing with excitement. To become something the Devourers couldn't digest. Yes, and we were close, so close, when they found us. Dr. Chen's voice took on a distant quality. They hit us with something that ripped apart the fabric of reality itself. Everyone died. The colony was obliterated. I was in the deepest level of the research bunker, already connected to the prototype nexus, when the attack came. The systems enacted emergency protocols, merged my consciousness with the matrix completely. I should have died. Instead, I changed. The view shifted again, showing the devastated planet in the aftermath. A single point of light remained in the research bunker, spreading slowly, tendrils of energy and information reaching out through the ruined world. I was alone, the colony destroyed. Earth had gone silent. I later learned our homeworld fell shortly after our colony. But I had access to the research, the prototype systems, and something else, something new. The attack had changed the planet itself, altered its fundamental properties. It had become receptive to the quantum consciousness technology in ways we'd never imagined possible. You began to rebuild, Razik said. No, Dr. Chen corrected. I began to transform, both myself and this world. I wasn't just surviving, I was evolving, adapting. And I discovered something the Devourers had never intended. Their attack had given me access to their own technological principles. I could see patterns in their destruction that revealed how they functioned. The sphere expanded, enveloping them in a three-dimensional model of the galaxy. Red points of light showed the spread of the Devourers, their path of destruction cutting across entire sectors. For 53 years, I've been preparing, transforming this planet into something new. A weapon designed specifically to target the Devourers' unique vulnerabilities, and waiting for someone like you to find me, because I cannot leave this world. I am bound to it now, part of its systems. The object in orbit, Dorn said suddenly, his security training finally making the connection. It's one of them, a Devourer. Dr. Chen nodded. A scout, the vanguard of their next wave. It detected the energy signatures when you arrived and came to investigate. They're drawn to new technology, new forms of energy they haven't consumed before. Panic rippled through the expedition team. Razik's antennae flattened against her head. You used us as bait. No, Dr. Chen said firmly. As a catalyst. Your arrival was the final piece I needed. Proof that other civilizations still existed out there. Confirmation that my work still had purpose. And your ship has something I need. What could we possibly have that you need? Tekla asked. Current star charts, communication protocols, knowledge of the political landscape. I've been isolated for 53 years, but the Devourers have been advancing. I need to know where they've been, what they've destroyed, and what remains to be saved. The sphere contracted suddenly, the images disappearing. The chamber returned to its previous state, but an alarm was now sounding, a pulsing tone that seemed to resonate with the planet itself. It's scanning us, Dr. Chen announced, her voice taking on an urgent quality. The scout. It's deploying probes into the atmosphere. We need to return to our ship, Razik declared. Warn the Confederation. There's no time, Dr. Chen replied. If the scout confirms what it suspects, it will summon the main fleet. We have hours, not days. The time to act is now. She approached the center of the chamber, where a platform had emerged from the floor. It resembled a medical examination table, but covered in the same shifting patterns as the sphere. I need your help, she said, turning to face them. What I'm about to do requires precision I cannot achieve alone. The final transformation requires external monitoring. What transformation? Nizar asked. The merging is incomplete, Dr. Chen explained. For 53 years, I've maintained a separation between my consciousness and the planetary systems, kept a part of my humanity intact. But to activate the weapon, to stop the Devourers, I need to complete the process. The human Eleanor Chen must finally die, so that something new can fully awaken. The implication stunned the expedition team into silence. This being, this hybrid of human and machine, was proposing to sacrifice the last vestige of her original self. You've preserved your humanity all this time, Razik said slowly, despite everything you've endured. Why surrender it now? Dr. Chen's expression softened with something like gratitude. Because humanity's purpose was always to evolve, to become something more. My species is gone, but their final act can be to save countless others. She turned to Tekla. Your scientific expertise is crucial. I need you to monitor the quantum fluctuations during the process, ensure the patterns remain stable. Tekla hesitated, then nodded. I'll help. Nizar, Dr. Chen continued, your understanding of xenobiology makes you uniquely qualified to track the biological components as they integrate with the mechanical systems. The xenobiologist stepped forward. I'll do what I can. Dorn, she said, turning to the security chief, if something goes wrong, if the process begins to destabilize, I'll terminate it, he confirmed grimly, his hand resting on his weapon. Finally, she faced Razik. Commander, I need you to establish communication with your ship. Transfer all data about the current state of the galaxy to the Nexus. It needs to know what it's fighting for. Razik studied Dr. Chen carefully. Everything about this violated Confederation protocols. They were being asked to assist in a procedure they barely understood, with implications that could affect the entire galaxy. And yet, the evidence before them was compelling. The threat was real, and this transformed human had dedicated 53 years to preparing a defense. Very well, Razik decided. But understand this, if at any point I believe this threatens the Confederation, I will not hesitate to stop it. Dr. Chen nodded. Fair enough. She lay down on the platform, which immediately began to conform to her body. We have approximately 40 minutes before the scout finishes its analysis. The procedure will take 35. As the team moved into position, Dr. Chen spoke one last time as herself. In my culture, we had a saying, "From the ashes, we rise." Remember that, whatever happens next. The chamber darkened, and the procedure began. Energy coursed through the facility, through the planet itself. The hybrid form of Eleanor Chen began to dissolve, breaking down into patterns of light and data that flowed into the Nexus sphere. Tekla monitored the quantum fluctuations, calling out readings that Nezar correlated with biological signatures. Dorn stood ready, his weapon charged, while Razik established the data link with the Void Seeker. The planet trembled. Deep beneath the surface, ancient systems awakened, technologies beyond even Confederation understanding rumbling to life. The sky above darkened further as the Devourer Scout descended, its massive form now visible through the atmosphere, a writhing mass of mechanical tendrils and crystalline structures that seemed to bend light around them. With seconds remaining in the procedure, alarms blared throughout the facility. The Scout had deployed its first wave of consumption probes, microscopic machines designed to break down matter at the molecular level. 30 seconds. Tekla called out. The integration is at 97%. Probes have breached the outer perimeter, Dorn reported. Atmospheric defenses failing. Link established, Razik announced. Data transfer complete. The Nexus sphere pulsed once, twice, then erupted with light so intense that even their protected visors darkened to compensate. The platform where Dr. Chen had lain was empty now, her physical form completely absorbed into the systems. For a moment, nothing happened. The team stood in silent apprehension, surrounded by a dead facility on a dead world, with destruction descending from above. Then, the planet spoke. Integration complete. Planetary defense system online. Countermeasures deploying. The voice was everywhere, not just in the chamber, not just in their communication systems, but somehow resonating in their very bodies. It held traces of Dr. Chen's inflections, but layered with harmonics that no human vocal cords could produce. The ground beneath them stabilized. The facility hummed with renewed purpose. Outside, the toxic atmosphere began to glow with energy patterns that spread like wildfire across the planet's surface. Through the newly transparent ceiling, they watched as the Devourer Scout encountered the first wave of the planet's defense. It wasn't a conventional attack. There were no weapons, no explosions. Instead, the quantum patterns from the planet's surface simply rewrote the Devourer's existence. Its molecular structure began to transform, its consumption probes turning back upon themselves. What's happening? Dorn demanded. Adaptive reconfiguration. The planet voice explained. The Devourers consume by breaking down matter and energy into component parts. I'm introducing a quantum algorithm that reverses the process, teaching their own technology to rebuild rather than destroy. The Devourer Scout writhed in orbit, its form contorting as the transformation spread throughout its systems. Within minutes, it had ceased all offensive actions. Within an hour, it had begun to change color, shifting from abyssal black to something crystalline and translucent. The weapon was never meant to destroy them, the voice explained. Destruction is their paradigm, not ours. The weapon transforms them, redirects their fundamental purpose. The team watched in awe as the former Devourer stabilized in orbit, now pulsing with the same energy patterns as the planet below. It is done, the voice said. The Scout has been converted. When the main fleet arrives, it will transmit the transformation algorithm directly into their network. The conversion will spread exponentially. And then what? Razik asked. Then they will help us rebuild. Their consumption technology, reversed, becomes creation technology. The worlds they destroyed can be restored. Different, but restored. The chamber shifted again, pathways opening toward the surface. Your ship can depart safely now, the voice informed them. Take what you've witnessed to your Confederation. Tell them that humanity's last legacy was not extinction, but transformation, and that the same opportunity awaits all sentient beings who choose evolution over destruction. As the expedition team prepared to leave, Razik hesitated. Is any part of Eleanor Chen still in there? The human who waited 53 years. The facility hummed thoughtfully. Eleanor Chen is both gone and everywhere. The consciousness that was once limited to a human form now experiences existence across an entire planet. The memories, the determination, the fundamental drive to protect life, those remain. But they have been transformed into something new, something that can face the challenges ahead. What should we call you then? Razik asked. When we tell your story. Energy patterns swirled around them, forming briefly into a shape that resembled a human woman's face before dissolving again into pure light. Call me Phoenix, the planet replied. In human mythology, it was a bird that rose from its own ashes to live again. It seems appropriate. The team departed the facility, making their way back to their landing craft. Above them, the transformed Devourer hung in orbit like a new moon, its purpose rewritten, its destructive nature converted to creation. As they lifted off from the surface, Tekla managed to capture one last transmission from the planet below. A message being broadcast across all frequencies, in all known languages, reaching out to the stars. To all sentient beings. You are not alone. The threat has been contained. From the ashes of humanity, a new defender has risen. We stand ready to help you rebuild what was lost. We stand ready to face whatever comes next. Together. The Void Seeker departed the system, carrying with it a message of hope that would spread throughout the Confederation and beyond. Humanity, long thought extinct, had transformed itself into something greater, not just to survive, but to ensure that all life could continue. In the darkness between the stars, other Devourers sensed the change in their scout and altered course, drawn inexorably toward the planet that waited for them. But what had once been a harbinger of doom now stood as a beacon of transformation. The cycle of consumption was broken. Phoenix waited, patient and eternal, ready to complete the work that Eleanor Chen had begun 53 years before. The end of one story, the beginning of another.